Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to discuss how I value different banks' award programs and also the value of diversification in the points and miles game. Now there are different types of people when it comes to how they like to earn their points in the points and miles game. Some people like to earn all their points with just one bank that they're familiar with, and other people like myself like to earn many different points with all different programs. Now I've said this in other of my videos, but I believe that diversification is the best way to play the points and miles game. If I had the choice between having 1,000,000 points with just one program versus having 250,000 points with Chase, American Express, Capital One, and Citi, I'd rather have those four programs at 250,000 points than just having 1,000,000 with one of them. Now it is more work when you have to manage multiple accounts, but there's also upside when you end up having points with all these different accounts. So what I'm going to do in this video is go over the upside of having points with these four major banks. Now I understand that Wells Fargo is a bank that's entered itself into the transfer partner game, and also Bilt Rewards has the ability to transfer over to many different partners. But in this video, I'm just going to focus on the four major banks. One thing you may have realized is that when you are looking at the transfer partners that are connected with these four major banks is that many of the transfer partners overlap. Now while this is the case, that doesn't mean that there isn't anything that is unique between these different banks when it comes to their transfer partners. Because even some of the ones that overlap, sometimes they are more unique with a specific bank when it comes to how they end up getting a bonus with the bank, or how frequently they end up getting bonuses when it comes to transfer bonuses with the bank. And then also with certain banks, sometimes it's just one airline that's connected with them, or they might end up having a transfer partner that's connected with multiple banks, but ends up being a higher transfer rate with one bank versus the other. So while yes, many of these different programs do overlap, that doesn't mean that it's all created equal, even though on the surface it may look that way. So first, we're gonna look over what I find valuable with the Chase Ultimate Rewards program. Now, one of the great things about the Chase Ultimate Rewards program is ease of use. When it comes to simplicity and getting yourself decent value for your points, I don't think that there's an easier program out there than redeeming your points with Chase Ultimate Rewards. With your Chase cards that earn Ultimate Reward points, if you want to cash out your points, you're going to get yourself 1 cent per point. If you happen to have one of their travel cards, depending on which one you have, you're either going to be able to use the travel portal and get yourself 1.25% back, or get yourself 1.5% back. And then if you want to transfer over to transfer partners, the minimum you're going to be getting for your points is going to be at a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you want to transfer over your Chase Ultimate Reward points to United, you're going to get yourself 1 United mile for every 1 Chase Ultimate Reward point that you end up transferring over to that program. Now sometimes you can get yourself better than 1-to-1, but the minimum that Chase will do with their transfer partners is give you a 1-to-1 transfer ratio. Now although Chase cards are not the best earner cards, you can rack up a lot of Chase points fast, due to the fact that there are so many options of cards to be able to get with Chase. And with all the points you're earning from the different cards you're going to be getting with Chase, you have the ability to be able to pool together the Ultimate Reward points. So if you happen to have something like your Chase Freedom Flex card you got, and then also a Chase Ink Cash card, along with a Chase Sapphire Reserve card, where you can pool all those points together with the Chase Sapphire Reserve card to be able to get yourself 1 cent per point back if you want to just cash it out, 1.5 cents per point back if you want to use it through the travel portal, or get yourself 1-to-1 transfer ratio with one of the transfer partners. So I would say when it comes to the ability to rack up points, due to the fact that there's just so many options of Chase cards out there, I would put Chase as being the second easiest of being able to rack up points with these different bank programs. Now when you start to look more advanced at the different transfer partners, the two that I would highlight with Chase are going to be the Aeroplan program and also the World of Hyatt. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, doesn't Chase have other transfer partners that I could take advantage of outside of Aeroplan and Hyatt? The answer to that is yes, but many of these other transfer partners are going to be ones that overlap with other bank programs, or if they happen to be unique with Chase, they tend to not really have the greatest value to transfer over to. Such as something like Southwest, where although you could transfer over your points to Chase, it probably end up being better just to use Chase's travel portal to be able to book yourself Southwest flights. Or another unique program like United, which is a program that I have transferred my Ultimate Reward points to in the past, but I don't see myself doing it into the future due to the fact of how much United has devalued their program to the point to where they aren't really competitive when it comes to other programs when you're looking at award flights. So the two programs that I find that make Chase special when it comes to transfer partners are going to be Aeroplan and the World of Hyatt. Now, there may be people out there who've noticed that, well, Aeroplan also is a transfer partner of American Express and Capital One, so why do I end up seeing them as being more valuable with Chase? The reason for this is because Chase has been the only program that has offered transfer bonuses to Aeroplan in the last couple of years. And I've said many times on my channel and other videos how highly I value transfer bonuses. And when I see them pop up with a trustworthy program like Aeroplan, I take full advantage of it. Now, just because a transfer bonus does pop up doesn't mean that you should automatically take advantage of it. If you happen to see a 10% transfer bonus with, say, Singapore Airlines, well, I wouldn't recommend to do that, but Aeroplan is partnered up with more airlines than anyone else in the world. And Aeroplan also offers really good deals when it comes to booking an award flight with Aeroplan with one of their partners. So because I trust Aeroplan so much, even if a devaluation happens, unless it is like just an insanely massive devaluation, I still believe that Aeroplan is going to have very competitive prices when it comes to booking award flights with them. And if you add in having the Aeroplan card, you get yourself an additional 10% when you end up transferring over your Ultimate Reward points to your Aeroplan account. Check out my video on my channel where I go over the Aeroplan card and show you how you can get some really sweet deals with redeeming their miles. And the other unique transfer partner with Chase is Hyatt. Now, Hyatt is a program that you've heard probably many other people in the points and miles game rave about. And the reason is that Hyatt is not a program where you're gonna have to be an expert in the game of points and miles to get yourself good value for redemption. Now, as long as you avoid redeeming with one of the Mr. and Mrs. Smith hotels that is now partnered with Hyatt, if you just look for one of the Hyatt branded hotels to redeem your World of Hyatt points with, chances are you're gonna be getting yourself close to about 2 cents per point without even needing to do that much work. And I just love how much Hyatt can work for all different types of people. If you are someone who's just a budget traveler, you can redeem your World of Hyatt points with them and get yourself good value for your budget stays. If you want to stay at some luxurious properties around the world, you can also redeem yourself your World of Hyatt points for those and get yourself some stays at some incredible aspirational properties. While Hyatt's footprint is small, if you happen to be going to a location where there is a Hyatt property, chances are you're not going to really be going wrong with staying at their hotels. So to recap, what I find valuable with Chase is going to be that they are easy to use. Even though they have cards that don't give you the best multipliers, it isn't hard to earn points with them due to the fact of how many options for cards there are out there. You can easily cash out your points at 1 cent per point. They have a travel portal that can range between giving you 1.25% back and also 1.5% back. The strongest hotel program in the game that is also very easy to navigate through. And then for people who are playing in more expert mode, you have the ability to get yourself a transfer bonus to Aeroplan, which is one of the strongest programs in the game. Next, let's look at American Express. And when you look at American Express, they are a lot more complicated than Chase. If you're looking at trying to just cash out your membership reward points, it's not as easy as Chase's, where with all of Chase's cards, you're gonna get yourself 1 cent per point. Whereas with American Express's cards, if you happen to have a very specific card being the Charles Schwab Platinum card, then you can end up getting yourself 1.1 cent per point. But everything other than that is gonna give you closer to like half that amount of value. And although American Express does have a travel portal, for most of American Express's cards, you're only gonna be getting yourself at best 1 cent per point when redeeming your membership reward points through their travel portal. If you do happen to have the Business Platinum card, you can get yourself more value than that, but you have to spend $700 to get that card each year, and it's only one specific card within their program that's gonna end up giving you higher value. I think that if you are someone who's newer into the points and miles game, American Express isn't gonna be the best for you because of the different complications that come with the program. But once you understand the redemption side, American Express becomes very valuable. Earlier in the video, I said that Chase is gonna be number 2 when it comes to ease of earning points. Well, American Express is number 1. They have the highest welcome offers out there. They also have high multipliers in many of the different cards. They give you high retention offers to keep their cards. They also are connected with Rakuten, which is a super lucrative shopping portal that allows you to either earn yourself cash back, or you can switch it to being earning yourself membership reward points instead of cash back. With Rakuten, you can easily get yourself 5, 10, even 20% back on top of what you get with using your card, just using Rakuten's shopping portal. If you've not already signed up to Rakuten, check out my referral link in the description box down below, and you'll get yourself back $30 on your first $30 purchase. If you do decide to use my link, it does really help out the channel, and I'll be incredibly thankful for your support. They also have a pretty strong referral program. American Express is a juggernaut of a points earner. If you're looking to try to get yourself a 500,000 points with one program, I don't think it's gonna be that difficult to do it with American Express. But while you can earn all these points with American Express, they have the highest annual fee cards out there, and also when you are looking to redeem these points, it's gonna be a lot more complicated than it is with Chase. Pretty much, if you don't happen to have the Charles Schwab card with American Express, you're gonna have to be someone who understands transfer partners to get yourself good value for your American Express membership reward points. A nice highlighted thing about American Express is how many transfer partners they have. They have more transfer partners than any other bank program out there. Some of the unique transfer partners that American Express has are gonna be like Delta or Hawaiian, which are programs that don't really blow anyone away because the value of their points aren't incredibly high. You may be able to get yourself some more outsized value with your Hawaiian miles, but with your Delta miles, it's going to be a pretty fixed rate for what you're going to be getting. And then on top of that, when it comes to these domestic airlines, American Express charges a tax for when you transfer over your points to them. So you could be paying up to $100 just to get your points from your membership rewards account over to your Delta Sky Miles account. Hawaiian Airlines is soon to be merging with Alaskan Airlines, so it's going to be interesting to see how that merger affects the partnership with American Express. Hilton is another unique transfer partner that I don't think is bad, but it doesn't always make a ton of sense to transfer your points over to Hilton unless there ends up being a pretty good transfer bonus. ANA is another unique one that can end up giving you some really good value for your points, but you're going to need to be more in expert mode to be able to navigate through ANA's website and make it all work out in your favor. What I think ends up being the best with American Express when it comes to their transfer partners is not only that the fact that they have more than any other program, but also they have more transfer bonuses than any other program. Now their bonuses aren't always going to be the highest bonuses out there, but they have the most frequent bonuses than any other program in the game. So to recap, what I find to be valuable when it comes to American Express's program is going to be the ability to earn points faster than any other program, transfer bonuses at a higher rate than any other program, and also the most transfer partners than any other program out there. When you combine these things, it's hard to see which program ends up beating American Express. Because if you're someone who knows what you're doing, although it is going to take work, American Express may end up being the most lucrative program out there. Next, we're going to look at Citi. Now, unlike American Express and Chase, Citi does not offer many different cards that earn Citi thank you points, so because of this, it's going to take more time to rack up a lot of Citi thank you points fast. But what Citi does that's great with their cards is they do offer some really solid multipliers for not a very high annual fee. So if you are someone who is a high spender, Citi cards are going to be right below American Express when it comes to how many points you probably could earn from just spending on the cards, except for they're going to have a much lower annual fee to have their cards. Citi's two most popular cards are going to be the Citi Premier card that earns 3x back in many different categories, and also the Citi Double Cash card that earns 2x back but is uncapped, unlike American Express's 2x card that does cap after $50,000 worth of spend. Now with Citi cards, it's very similar to like Chase, to where although you are earning yourself thank you points, these thank you points can be cashed out at 1 cent per point. Citi doesn't offer a boost with their Double Cash or Premier card through a travel portal, but what they do have that is unique with Citi is a few different transfer partners. The transfer partners that I want to highlight with Citi are Choice Hotels, Avianca, Eva Air, and Turkish Airlines. Now, Choice Hotels aren't going to be offering the type of luxury that you may be getting at something like Hyatt, Hilton, or Marriott, but Choice offers decent hotels that you can get when you end up transferring over your Citi thank you points for not a bad rate. And the reason for this is because the transfer ratio that you get when you transfer your Citi thank you points over to your Choice privilege account is going to be 1 Citi thank you point to give you 2 Choice privilege points. There are Choice hotels that go for 30,000 points that aren't bad hotels, which would mean that it only would cost you 15,000 Citi thank you points to stay at these properties. The next transfer partner is going to be Avianca. Now you may end up seeing Avianca as also being partners with American Express and Capital One, and ask yourself the question of, well, what makes it more special with Citi? The difference with Citi is that Citi offers a 25% transfer bonus to Avianca frequently throughout the year, whereas if you end up looking at Capital One or if you end up looking at American Express, it typically ends up being either like 10% or maybe 15%. So you're going to be getting a higher bonus over to Avianca, usually with Citi thank you points versus with these other programs. Now, although Avianca has a terrible website and they also recently just had a devaluation, they are still a pretty solid program that I recommend to use. Eva Air is a special transfer partner to Citi because they're the only one that offers a 1-to-1 ratio to getting yourself some Eva Air miles. Eva Air offers more reward availability for their flights as compared to what they release to their partners. So if you want to fly over to Taipei or just get over to Asia, redeeming your Citi thank you points with Eva Air can end up being a great way to be able to do that. And lastly is Turkish. Now, Turkish isn't really more special with Citi than it is Capital One, but since this isn't partnered with one of the other bigger issuers such as Chase and American Express, I do think that redeeming your Citi thank you points for Turkish could still, in some instances, not end up being a bad deal. Turkish did do a devaluation to their program a few months ago, which ended up making it so that some of their sweet spots, like being able to fly around the US for 7,500 miles, has went up to being 10,000. And then also, if you wanted to fly over to Europe, it used to be only 45,000, but now it's 65,000. And if you want to connect outside of Istanbul, it's even more expensive. But I still think that for 65,000 points, if you wanted to fly over to Istanbul, that isn't a bad deal. And one thing that I have noticed is that Turkish Airlines has a pretty decent amount of award availability if you are redeeming your Turkish Miles and Smiles for a Turkish Airlines flight. So to recap, what you're going to be getting from Citi is, although they don't have many cards that they offer, so you can end up racking up a lot of points fast just from welcome offers, they do have really good multipliers with their cards, and their cards don't cost a lot to be able to have. Additionally, they also have an easy way to redeem your points at 1 cent per point with their different cards. Plus also, if you are looking for transfer partners, they have a number of unique ones that can end up being better to redeem with Citi versus other programs, such as like Choice because of the 2-to-1 ratio. Avianca is going to be giving you a higher transfer bonus than what other banks offer. They give you a 1-to-1 transfer ratio with Eva Air. And although Turkish is partnered with Capital One, since they aren't partnered with Chase and American Express, this can end up being another option to get yourself over to Europe if you don't happen to have points with one of the other bigger banks. And finally, we're going to look at Capital One. The Saver One card is a good earner card giving you 3x back in multiple categories, and it earns cash back that can be redeemed at 1 cent per point. And then you can grab on to that cash back that you earn from the Saver One, transfer it over to miles if you happen to have one of the venture cards, and then be able to redeem it either with a transfer partner or just as a 1 cent per point for a travel statement credit. But when they are venture miles, they can't go back to being Saver One cashback. And then if you decide to redeem your venture miles for anything outside of travel, it cuts the value of it in half. So although it's not difficult to cash out your Saver One cash or your venture miles for 1 cent per point, there could end up being situations to where you may end up getting yourself less if you're not paying attention and you're redeeming your venture miles for something else outside of travel. You can get yourself lounge access with Capital One, and it's going to be cheaper than what American Express or Chase is asking for. And although Capital One doesn't offer as many cards as American Express or Chase, they do offer more than what Citi offers. So I do feel that for most people, you can probably end up racking up more points with Capital One cards over something like Citi cards. Now, when it comes to redeeming your Capital One miles with transfer partners, I find Capital One Venture Miles to be the least valuable out there. Turkish Airlines is the only unique transfer partner with Capital One, and they're not really unique since they are also a transfer partner with Citi. Capital One does frequently offer transfer bonuses, but it's nowhere near to the frequency of something like American Express. And when it comes to the level of the transfer bonuses, they don't have like specialty high transfer bonuses with programs the same way that Chase does with Aeroplan or Citi does with Avianca. Now, me saying this doesn't mean you shouldn't try to earn yourself Capital One Venture Miles. I still think that they are valuable, but if I hadn't have 100,000 points with American Express, Chase, Citi, and Capital One, and I needed to make a booking for an award that was going to be 75,000 Flying Blue miles, well, I'd probably end up transferring over my Capital One Venture Miles to make this award booking before I did any of the other points. Maybe I'm wrong by saying that, but other than redeeming my Venture Miles for a baseball game, which if you're big into baseball, there can end up being good value for that, but since I'm just looking to try to redeem it for travel, I can't really think of anything that's special about Venture Miles versus any other program. If you feel that I'm wrong, let me know in the comment section down below what ends up being the best use case for Venture Miles that is more unique as compared to other programs out there. But that is how I see the differences with the 4 major bank programs. When it comes to earning points, you have American Express at number 1, you have Chase at number 2, you have Capital One at number 3, and then Citi at number 4. When it comes to ease of redeeming points, you have Chase at number 1, Citibank at number 2, Venture Miles at number 3, and then American Express in last. And for people who are playing the points and miles game in a more advanced way, I think it'd make the most sense to have your Chase Ultimate Reward points reserved to transfer over to Hyatt and also to Aeroplan during a transfer bonus, your Citi thank you points transferring over to Avianca during one of their transfer bonuses, or Eva Air, or Choice, or Turkish. And then when it comes to Capital One, I would say it makes the most sense only really for Turkish. Or if all things are even with the programs, have your Capital One miles be transferred out first. And then with American Express, look out for one of the many transfer bonuses they're going to have throughout the year. And look at transferring over your membership reward points during one of these transfer bonuses to Virgin Atlantic, Flying Blue, or British Airways when they're going to be having somewhere ranging between a 25 to 30% transfer bonus throughout the year. Now, although I think that this is the best way to go about it, I do transfer over my membership reward points to programs that are partnered with all the other ones before I do my Capital One miles because of the fact that I just earn membership reward points so much faster. So if I do want to fly over with Turkish, I still want to have some Capital One Venture Miles as an option to be able to book one of those award flights. So I may find Capital One miles the least valuable. I don't earn them anywhere near at the rate of what I earn my membership reward points. So because of that, the membership reward points are one of the quickest ones to go out. But I always prioritize transfer bonuses. So if I see an award that I want to book with Virgin Atlantic, even though I may want to transfer over my Chase Ultimate Reward points to Aeroplan and Hyatt, if there's a transfer bonus with Chase to Virgin Atlantic, then I'm going to transfer my Chase Ultimate Reward points to Virgin Atlantic because I don't want to miss out on that deal. And in my opinion, transfer bonuses are the closest thing when it comes to getting yourself true free travel. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comment section down below. How do you prioritize the way you end up redeeming your points with these different banks? Do you have a similar method to the way that I do, or is your setup a lot different for where you end up transferring certain points to different programs? Or are you someone who just doesn't diversify because you don't feel that all that additional effort ends up making sense, or you don't find the value in doing it? Let me know in the comment section down below. Now, if you happen to have any questions about anything I said in this video, you can drop it down in the comment section down below. I'll do the best I can to answer it. If you happen to be interested in any cards, check in my description box to learn more. If you use any of my links, it helps out the channel. I'll be thankful for your support. If you happen to really like this video, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video, and have a beautiful rest of your day.